Hello, I'm Miss O'Dowda and I'm a science teacher here at St John Bosco College, a secondary school in Battersea. Today I'm going to be teaching you all about how to keep safe in a science laboratory. So let's think about what a laboratory actually is. Pause the video now if you want to have a think to yourself, otherwise I'm going to read the definition in just a second. Okay, so a laboratory is a room or building that contains scientific equipment to carry out scientific tests. Now, these are really important in secondary school. In fact, here at SJBC, every single one of our science classrooms is a laboratory, and that means we can carry out any experiment we need to, all the way from year 7 through to year 13. Now, we've already filmed a video of one of these science laboratories. If you want to have a look at it, you can see the link below. If you want to pause now and go and watch that and then continue with the lesson, please do. Otherwise, you'll be able to access the link at the end of today's lesson. So now let's have a think about some of the dangers that we could come across during a science experiment. I want you to have a look at the picture below. Now, these students are doing a science experiment, but they're not doing it very safely. I want you to pause the video now and have a think about any of the dangers you might be able to see in the picture that we could come across during a science experiment. Right, let's have a look to see if you managed to get all of them. So we could have dangerous chemicals that we're interacting with. We could have electrical appliances that could cause electrical dangers. We could have spillages that people have not cleaned up properly. There could be students that are not concentrating or running around the classroom. It might be that we have fire hazards, or people aren't wearing eye protection to make sure they don't have damage to their eyes from harmful chemicals. It might be that people with long hair have not tied it up. It could be that people are sitting down where chemicals could end up spilling on them rather than standing up so they can move away easily. It might be that students are eating or drinking in the science laboratories. It could be that actually the temperature of equipment is an issue. It might be the temperature of the equipment is very hot and someone's tried to pick it up before it's cooled down. It could be that students are throwing things across the classroom, again, not behaving sensibly. It might be that there's been some broken glass. This happens. Sometimes we break equipment, but rather than cleaning it up, it's just been left. We might also have trip hazards, so people not putting their bags under their desk and instead of just leaving them on the side so people could accidentally fall over them. Did you manage to get all of them? Right, so let's think about how we can turn dangers or hazards that we already know into rules to stop them from being dangerous. Let's have a look at the first one, which is broken glass. Have a think. What do you think we could do to stop broken glass becoming a danger? So one of the rules we could use is that we make sure to alert a teacher if any glass has been broken so it can be cleaned up safely. Let's have a look at another example. So our second danger is going to be not concentrating. So if students are not listening properly and they're not concentrating on what they're actually doing. Why might this be a danger and what could we do to stop it? Have a think. Okay, so what we could do is we could always listen carefully to teacher instructions and ask them to be repeated if we don't understand what we're supposed to be doing. Right, now it's your turn. What I want you to do is I want you to read about Cindy and Jake. They're doing science experiments, but they've made some errors, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to write down the safety rules they need to follow next time. Pause the video now and have a go at this task. So this is a Bunsen burner. And a Bunsen burner is something we use a lot in secondary school science experiments. It provides a flame that's safe for us to use in a number of different ways. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through a demonstration about how to use these, but be careful because I'm going to give you a little quiz later, so make sure you're listening carefully. Just a warning with this one, the experiment I'm going to do is going to cause a really bright light. Don't worry, I'll warn you when that's going to happen, but if you want to skip this part of the video now, that's fine. Otherwise, make sure you have sunglasses with you to protect your eyes, or you can just simply look away when I instruct you to. Okay, so in our lesson, we've just talked about
Bunsen burners and the importance of these in secondary school. We use them all the time. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how we would go about using a Bunsen burner and all of the safety things we need to think about. So before I even light my Bunsen burner, there's certain things I have to do to prepare. So firstly, I'm stood up. I'm not sat down. I'm making sure that I'm stood up so that if anything happens, any spillages, I can easily move myself away. The second thing is if you have long hair, you need to make sure it's tied up. I've tied mine up because this could be a hazard for the fire. The next thing I need to do is I need to make sure that I put my safety goggles on before I do anything else. So I'm going to make sure that these are on. So now I'm ready to turn the Bunsen burner on. So this here is called a gas tap, and this is what we use to start moving gas through the Bunsen burner so that it is going to light. We don't want to leave this on for too long, because if we do leave this on for too long, we could have a gas leak in the classroom. So we need to make sure that we only put it on when we're ready. So I'm ready to turn it on, so I'm going to turn it on now. The next part is lighting the Bunsen burner. Now, you would have a teacher help you do this if you were in school, and this is called a splint. We're going to use this to light it from a safe distance. Now this here is called a safety flame. Now the reason this is called a safety flame is because it's really yellow and we can see all of it. This tells us the Bunsen burner is on, and it makes sure that we're aware of this hazard. There is also another type of flame, which is what we're going to use for our experiment today. This is known as a roaring flame. You can hear that from the sound it makes. But also, we can't see it very well. So it's not a very safe flame. So whenever we finished using it, we need to make sure we put it back to the safety flame again. Right, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to burn some magnesium ribbon under the flame. I'm going to use these tongs so that I can do it at a safe distance. Now this is the point where there's going to be quite a bright light, so if you're worried about that, make sure you look away now, and I'll tell you when you can look back. Or if not, you can wear sunglasses if you would like to protect your eyes and make sure that they don't hurt. Right, so I'm going to turn to my roaring flame because that's the one I want to use. And I'm going to hold my magnesium ribbon over my flame. So the bright light's finished, you can look back now. Those of you that saw it should have noticed that the magnesium ribbon lit up with a really, really, really strong flame, okay? And now we'll turn it back to the safety flame so we can see it again, and I'm going to turn the gas tap off.
Okay, let's go through a true or false to see if you were listening carefully during that science experiment. So firstly, number 1, I can enter a science laboratory whenever I like. Do we think that's true or false? Write down your answer now. Okay, that one is actually false. It's really, really important with science classrooms that we wait for a sensible adult to be with us before we're allowed to enter. Number 2, I must only touch the apparatus when I'm told to by the teacher. True or false? Have a think, write it down. Okay, this one is actually true, okay? So only do what the teacher tells you to do to make sure you're keeping safe. So well done to those of you that got that one. Right, let's do number 3. I must always tie my hair back in science. Write down what you think the answer is, true or false. Okay, this one is absolutely true. If you have long hair, it's really important that you tie it back to make sure it doesn't become a fire hazard. Number 4, I can sit down when I'm doing experiments. True or false? Write down what you think. This one is absolutely false. Well done to those of you that got that. It's really important that when you're doing science experiments, you're standing up so that if there are any spillages, you can move away from the desk. Number 5, chemicals can't harm me if I eat or drink inside the science laboratory. Write down what you think, true or false. Well done to those of you that got that one. It is absolutely false, okay? Sometimes we have spillages in science classrooms and we do our best to clean up those spillages, but sometimes there might be a bit of residue. So if we're eating or drinking in a classroom and accidentally putting those chemicals near our mouth, that could cause some serious problems. So it definitely is false. Let's try the last one. Is it okay to wear my goggles on my head when I'm doing experiments? What do you think, true or false? Brilliant to those of you that got that one. This one is absolutely false. It's really important that we always wear our goggles over our eyes, otherwise they're not able to do their job properly. Well done. How many did you get out of 6? Count them up. See how many you got. Well done to those of you that did really well in that. Okay, now I have a task for you. Today, I want you to design your very own laboratory poster. I want you to be as creative and colourful as you want to, and you can do this either by hand and do the drawings yourself, or you can do it online using Word or PowerPoint. You have to make sure that you include pictures to make it look interesting, a title so the audience knows exactly what the poster is about, and at least 5 laboratory safety rules with explanations as to why they are important. Now, we would really love to see your work, so once you've finished, please submit it by looking at the details below. Thank you for joining the lesson today. I've really enjoyed teaching you, and hopefully I'll see some of you at St John Bosco College in September.